So, South Africa have announced their latest T20 World Cup squad. I think a lot of guys are going to be up and down about it. Some may be happy, some may be sad. We have put a poll in the live chat for you guys to choose how you feel about this particular squad. We know that there's a lot of guys that would have liked to see Faf du Plessis in the team. He is not. Imran Tahir, he is not. Chris Morris, he is not. But there also are some guys that have been selected within the 15-man squad and then in the reserves too. There are 3 reserves that are traveling with as well. So I'm going to be talking about that first and foremost, and I'm going to be bringing on guests as well. There is a availability for you guys to call in on the show and have your say as well. So if you want to call in on the show and have your say, you may do so. I do have a caller waiting for us right now, so we're going to get straight into this particular squad announcement, and we're going to talk about who is in the squad first and foremost. But let me just get going, because obviously my phone is going to go crazy now that the squad hasn't been announced and everybody's going to be asking us for different things. So what I want to start doing is, you guys that are watching right now, subscribe to this channel, please. Please subscribe, click that notification bell for all future videos so that you can get involved with everything that is on the show. Let's get straight into today's announcement. I'm going to be bringing the squad on the screen for you guys to see as well. So let's get straight into it with our first caller that is waiting for us in the back end. Let's do this. Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your latest news show. I'm your host, Khalid. This is the show where we're going to be talking about the T20 World Cup announcement. And as you see, I have Werner with me. We've got a couple of callers that are going to be calling on the show as well. Werner doesn't have much time to spend with us, so we're going to go straight into it as fast as possible. We have another caller waiting for us as well in the back end. So Mpo is here too. I'm going to give you an opportunity first to chat to us first, Werner, before we get Mpo on the show. So when Mpo comes, just Mpo, just hold on before you give your thoughts and what you think about the show, etc., and what you think about the squad announcement. But let's just go straight into it first. Let me just show you guys the squad first before we get going, Werner, just so that the fans do know who is in the side and who's available. So currently, this is the squad that has been announced by Cricket South Africa. Temba Bavuma as captain, Quinton de Kock, Rassie van der Dussen, David Miller, Aiden Markram, Heinrich Klaassen, Reza Hendricks, Dwayne Pretorius, Vian Mulder, Keshav Maharaj, Kagiso Rabada, Lungingidi, Anrich Nokia, Bjorn Fortuin, Debrey Shamsi. And then we've got the reserves waiting on standby, George Linder, Andile Pechlikwayo, Lizard Williams. Now, Werner, I'm very upset about the fact that Faf du Plessis is not in the squad. Now, we knew beforehand that this wouldn't probably happen. We've been talking about it for quite some time, that it probably won't happen, that the side that is in Sri Lanka currently is most likely going to be majority of the people that are available is going to probably be that person in that squad. That's what we heard. That's what we thought. That's what we presumed. The squad gets announced and Faf is not in it. So first, let me get your voice and your opinions on that, because there's another omittance that I also want to get your say on as well. But let's just first get your thoughts on Faf du Plessis and the squad as a whole.
Okay. So sorry if my connection is a bit bad, so hopefully this works. I am not too surprised about Faf. The way we've been picking our squads, the fact that he was in Sri Lanka, the way that Dale Steyn said after his retirement that they weren't really picking players for the limited over squad if you retired from the test squad, made me think he was not going to make it. And that was part of my prediction this morning, is Faf was probably not going to make it. But yeah, the George Linder one is the one that really got me by surprise. This man has been playing all the series for the last year, ahead of Bjorn Fortuin. Keshav Maharaj hasn't had a game. He hasn't played a single T20I, and I'm not surprised he made the squad. Don't get me wrong. I expected Kesh would probably make the squad. But I thought if Kesh made the squad, then probably Fortuin might shift down to the reserves, or an extra pacer might shift down to the reserves. But the fact that Linde has gone from playing every T20 game for us to the straight to the reserves has really caught me by surprise. The rest of the squad, I pretty much thought this was going to be it. I'm not surprised by Morris not being there, Faf not being there, Tahir not being there. That didn't catch me by surprise. The only thing that really surprised me was Linde.
Now I agree with you guys and what you said, Vian. I mean on Vian Mulder being in the team, Werner, as well, because for George Linde, they've gone for the extra seamer rather than the extra spinner, where Victor and Patsang was talking in the on the actual announcement saying, "Oh, with spinning conditions, we've been preparing for spinning conditions. That's why we've picked the balance of the side, of course." So someone that hasn't even made his debut in T20 cricket yet. Keshav Maharaj has been selected, but Victor has been talking about what a leader he is in his quotes that have been released to us. And that's the reason, obviously, behind why they obviously picked him. But my concern over here overall is that there is an availability for you guys to also call in on the show if you want to have your say. I'm just going to get Paul, your thoughts before we get our first caller on the show, and to have his say and tell us about what he thinks about this particular news. But Paul, your thoughts on the squad? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you in the middle? Where are you sitting?
Look, I told you guys when the Sri Lanka series started that this was going to be the 15. I didn't see Faf anywhere in this, and the person people should be blaming is Graham. Asked on the press conference right now who spoke with Faf. It was Mark Boucher and it was Graham Smith, and Graham says that they couldn't find a balance. They couldn't find a balance between the money and everything else. So the reason why it's not there, at the feet of the DOC and the head coach. So if you're angry, it's not at Victor, it's at the DOC. Now let's talk about what Victor and the selection panel did. Reza Hendricks is a great T20 player, but I would have picked Yanaman Malan. Yanaman's the number one boundary percentage hitter in South Africa currently playing. If you want to score runs above 170, Yanaman needs to be in that side. I know his form hasn't been great, and I think Aiden surpassed him in the T20 side, but I would have taken Yanaman as your reserve batsman, because right now the world of cricket is looking at boundary percentages and looking at who can score me boundaries. His boundary percentages, I think it's above 20%. I think it's close to 22%. Even domestically and with the Proteas. I think with the Proteas a little bit worse because of his performances. But I would have taken a risk on Yanaman Malan because you need a high boundary striker. The fact that Keshav Maharaj walks into this team over George Linde bothers me. And it bothers me on one other situation, is that you need someone who can bat at 7. And George Linde's that guy. We played Pakistan at Centurion with George Linde batting at 5. All of a sudden, George Linde's not good enough to be in the side.
It makes
Doesn't
And
make
you're
sense
saying
to
that,
me.
no,
It makes no sense, man.
better spinners. And I'm sitting there going, but dude, so, because the problem is that you're going to play your 2 seeming all-rounders at the World Cup. That means your batting ends effectively after Dwayne Pretorius comes up, because I can't trust Vian Mulder right now. As a batsman. He doesn't even bat at 6 for the Lions. So where are we going with all of this? And I think
that means a lot coming from you as well, Paul. That means a lot coming from you, because we know that you're also a massive fan of Ian. So that's a massive analysis from you to say that. I respect you for actually saying that and not taking any sides over here. But
Victor, I'm really disappointed in Victor, in Bouch, in the selectors, because I'm sitting here going, what are we giving Timber to do to win this World Cup? Effectively, what they're telling us is that we can go in with 6 batsmen and 5 bowlers, and that's okay, and we'll be fine. And that's not going to happen. We're not going to win the World Cup with the squad because of that. And I think from the bowlers they picked themselves, I sit there going from the quicks. I'm like, okay, fine. Lungi, yeah. and KG and Anna, that's fine. That's a 3 I would take. I wouldn't play all three, but the way the squad is set up, it looks like you are going to play all three and you're going to play 3 spinners. Just like I asked Bouch, I think you might find a situation where maybe Lungi might be dropped for Dwayne, and then you try play your 3 spinners in Bjorn, Kesh, and Shamsi in the same game. So that's the other thing. And also, they didn't need to consider quotas or transformation because we know the ruling from CSA. There's no transformation or quotas in selection for the World Cup. So I'm just disappointed.
And it's clear by the makeup of the team as well that it wasn't the case. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm just disappointed that Keshav has. Here's the thing, guys. Keshav's not played a T20 for South Africa. When he plays against Sri Lanka, it will be his debut.
No,
it's ridiculous. Like I am just baffled by Vic and his selections. I'm baffled by the selection panel. I'm also baffled that Graham couldn't get Faf over the line. It just bothered me that they couldn't get him over the line. They couldn't agree. He didn't even need to play any of the games. It was just like, dude, just be available for the World Cup. So I'm not as disappointed as the rest of you guys about Faf not being there. I'm just disappointed that Graham couldn't get him over the line. I know all the other free agents, Chris Morris and Imran Tahir. Also, they said some guys chose to not avail themselves for the World Cup. But Graham kept on saying in the press conference that it's just disappointed that they couldn't get over the line with Faf. Because Victor said he's never spoken with Faf. That was the thing. Victor's like, they asked him, and he said he never spoke with Faf in this entire period. The person who was dealing with him was Graham and Mark, and they couldn't get Faf to come and play. So as much as this whole new era is going on, they need to be judged on that too. And Victor's going to be judged on the squad as well.
Okay, so I'm going to speak a little bit about what my thoughts are on Faf and why it didn't go to plan. I'm going to try to analyze it in depth a little bit later. We're also waiting for our teacher to come on the show because he went to the press conference, so he's going to give us his insight into what was told, what's said over there, etc. But we've got our first caller on the show. We've got Lawrence Bailey waiting for us. If you're available, just put on your camera. I'm going to bring you right now to offload and have your say. He's never called to the show before, guys, so this is his debut. So welcome to the show, brother. Would you like to have your say? What is your thoughts on the World Cup squad? The floor is yours.
Hey, Khalid. Hope you guys are well. I've just tweeted this now, and I must say I'm really underwhelmed with the squad. I've said that this is probably our worst ever World Cup squad in 30 years. I mean, the 3 players being left out, Janneman Malan, George Linde, and Faf du Plessis. I mean, aren't we picking guys on form anymore? Are we just picking guys just for the sake of picking? I mean, Janneman Malan has done his job since he came into the Proteas setup. George Linde has been doing well in the T20 setup. I mean, how does he get replaced by Bjorn Fortuin while he was the number 2 spinner in the side that's been playing almost all the T20 games leading up to the T20 World Cup? You had Bjorn Fortuin, who's always coming one game here, one game there, but yet he gets selected ahead of a guy like George Linde. And if you go to Faf du Plessis, he's probably our best limited overs batsman. Yes, he's been not playing for the past 6, 7, 8, 1 year for the Proteas. But, I mean, the guy's experience in the IPL, in the CPL, in various T20 leagues around the world. So, are we kidding ourselves, saying to ourselves that we don't need that kind of experience at the T20 World Cup, where the pressure is going to be high, the stakes is going to be high? This just comes into the selections. Like, what does Graham Smith, Mark Boucher, Mpo, Pitsan, what did they talk about when they make such decisions? I mean, how do you get to decisions like this? I mean, we all know. I think our bowling is fine. I think there's guys that's in the squad that we're happy about. But just another point for me, right? How's our betting gonna look? How's our team dynamic gonna look? Are we gonna have an all-round at 6, 7? And then our bowlers from 8, 9, 10, and 11. our betting is going to be weak. We're playing in a subcontinent. We're going to come up against good quality bowlers, good quality spinners. So what do we three down in 8 overs? We're gonna rely on Vian Mulder, on a Dwayne Pretorius to bet out 14, 15 overs. Like I just think that these guys that made the selection, they haven't thought it through um, um, decisively for me, because like I said, for me this is definitely the worst squad in 30 years. The worst World Cup squad in 30 years. There's no experience in this lineup. Where's the experience? You can say Quinton de Kock has experience. Yes. By the way, where's the other guys? Where's the other guys? KZ Rabada, yes, he's played IPL. Andre Kunduki, yes, he's played IPL. But I think in the engine room, we all know what is going to win you a World Cup is the engine room. The engine room for me starts in number 4, filtering down to your lower order. Those are the guys that's going to win you games. For me, I'm just very underwhelmed with this squad, guys. I'm sorry, very underwhelmed.
So Lawrence, I want to ask you, and I know you're upset, and I feel your sentiments. I'm upset too, particularly about George Linden not making in that first 15, and also about yes, Faf du Plessis. We all got hints throughout the season so far
Yes,
that this is going to happen. You know, what I think it is about Faf though. If I try to look at it, if Victor said what Mpo said, Victor said where he said that Graham Smith and Boucher were the ones that spoke to him and not Victor, then it must have been something to do with money. Because what I'm saying this is because when it comes to having Faf doesn't have a Proteas contract, so that means he doesn't get paid by
yep,
CSA or by for this particular year because he doesn't get that international money. So they would have had to
yes,
work out a particular contract for him so that he could play. I'm thinking that Faf would play if they had gave him some sort of incentive with regards to that, because I
yes,
think
correct.
asking him to play in the West Indies, asking him then to play in the Sri Lanka series, which they probably did do, and not give him a contract. So that means he's playing for free almost, and then having to lose out on massive contracts in CPL and IPL, etc. That could have been a factor. I'm not 100%
Yeah.
sure if that is the case, but that could have been a factor.
Then be transparent. Then they should be transparent. They should come out and tell us, look here, we had a contract for Faf. This was the contract situation. He didn't accept it, and we moved on. But why go behind the scenes and telling us, making excuses and telling us, yeah, but yeah, we went in with we had to be fair to other guys. If that was the case, then tell us, look here, there was a contract, there was talks, there was a contract presented to
Mhm.
Faf, and they couldn't come to agreement. Be transparent. Be honest with us.
Yeah, I agree with your sentiments. Thanks a lot, Lawrence, for coming on the show and having your say for us. I hope you call in the future once again. And Paul, excellent points made. Excellent points made by Lawrence over here, I think.
Yes. Look, I think that's what we're all just angry about. It's because here's the thing, and I told you that the fact that we're doing this whole domestic thing with the World Cup qualifiers, that it with the World Cup squad, was that they're going to give us bad news, and the bad news was that Faf's not there. I would never had a problem if Faf was in the side. It's professional sport. Like even if he didn't play, if his thing was, look, dude, you can play the World Cup. We're gonna select you. Are you available? Yes. Okay, cool. You're in. We're putting you in. But I'm just really truly disappointed that they just couldn't. I like for as much as we're going into this new dawn with Graham and Mark, this is the biggest disappointment that they've put on the table. You know, this team can't score above 170. They've got guys who look for singles and twos when the rest of the world is looking for boundaries. Like for instance, Josh Inglis is playing in the Australian World Cup squad. I've never heard of the guy before, but you know what I did? I went and looked at his stats. The guy is striking at 150. He's a middle to top order batsman, and he has a 24% boundary percentage. Finn Allen, or is it Fabian? It's Finn Allen of New Zealand. He has the highest boundary percentage in the world in the last since 2019 at 23%. Where does this team rank in boundary percentage? I think the highest boundary percentage guy is Quinton de Kock with 19.5. And then everybody else hangs around 16 and 15. I think Dwayne's at about 18, and Heinrich Clausen's high up there. But the squad gives us no chance of scoring 170 unless if they're hoping that KG, Anna, and the spinners can restrict teams to 170, 160 every time. So we literally are taking the pressure of winning games off the batsmen and putting it onto the bowlers. And if you look at that 11, I think somebody put up an 11 and put at number 7. Kesh, is it? Is it Kesh? It possibly will be, because Mark Boucher thinks Kesh is a good batsman. And he was like, the last game, he said he was fine with the balance of the side and he didn't need batsmen because Kesh was batting at 9. And if Kesh is batting at 9, well, we should be okay. But Kesh hasn't played T20s. Kesh at the CSA T20 Challenge didn't do quite well with the bat. Yes, he hit some lusty blows. Bjorn Forten can hit some lusty blows. But I have an issue that you put a batsman on your reserve list, a guy who bats at 6 for his franchise, a guy who can bowl leg spin, left arm spin. He may not be the best bowler of the guys you chose, but he works for the system. Because now you're going to be bringing in Vian Mulder, and then against Australia, we're going to be complaining because Vian Mulder is going to be batting at 7, and he's going to need to chase, I don't know, I'm assuming 30 or 20, and he might struggle. And I don't know if you want to put that pressure on Vian Mulder being new into the side.
A lot of pressure on him.
All this squad is, we're just recycling past hurts into a new team. This team is going to learn the heartbreak of a World Cup and the anger of a nation when they don't even need to learn it. Because at the end of the day, if they don't get out their group, everyone's going to be like, this team can't do it. And they're going to pick up such like bad vibes. And I'm just so I look at Temba and I'm like, dude, where are your 6 bowling options? So I'm assuming Aiden's going to be a 6 bowling option, and you're going to try and sneak in Dwayne Pretorius as your number 6 batsman. Or sneak in Dwayne at 7 and try have a very long batting lineup with 6 batsmen. So you're probably going to go with Quinny, Temba, Aiden at 3, Rassie at 4. You might even sneak Heino Klaasen at 5, or David Miller and Heino Klaasen at 5 and 6, and then you'll start with Dwayne Pretorius and the rest of the 5 bowlers, and then Aiden's going to bowl, is going to be a 6th bowler, and I'm just not sure if that's good enough to restrict teams, and on top of that to win your games. It speaks no flexibility to me. I look at all the other squads around the world, and yes, some of the guys are there, but they are coming at us with 3 all-rounders. India's got all-rounders coming out of the wazoo. Meanwhile, we've had 4 all-rounders we're looking at. We've played George Linder. Ever since South Africa's been playing T20s after COVID, George Linder's been in the side. But all of a sudden, he's no longer good enough to even go to the World Cup.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Look, guys, if you want to call into the show, we have a link on the top of the live chat if you want to do so. I did repaste it again in the live chat. We have another caller waiting for us. We've got Reginald Barry waiting for us in the back end over here. Welcome to the show, brother. What would you like to say?
Hi, Khalid. How are you?
I'm good, thanks to you, man.
Yeah, I'm okay, thanks, man. Just very disappointed with Yanaman and George not making the side. I really thought that they would be in the squad going to the World Cup.
Can I ask you to elaborate on that? If Yanaman made the squad, who would you want to replace him with? And also George, who would you want him to replace him with the current setup?
Well, the conditions will suit George in the UAE because the wickets are spinner friendly. So I would have picked him in place of Vian Mulder. The Yanaman selection that's pending the outcome of Temba Bavuma's fitness too.
And with regards to Yanaman, who do you think would go into the side for Yanaman? If you had to take out anybody from the 15, who would you take out and replace with Yanaman?
That's a tricky one because of the balance of the side and things like that. So I just wanted to see the rest of the team here.
Yeah, I can bring it up for you if you want to have a look. I can bring it up for you.
Okay,
We
yes,
have it available.
yes.
Yeah. So here we go for you. It's on the screen.
Yeah,
So would it be
yeah,
like
you see,
I've
you
put the
see,
batsman
Heinrich
down for you?
Klaasen,
There's
Heinrich Klaasen would have been the one, but now he's the reserve wicketkeeper. So if anything happens with Quinny, then we don't have another specialist keeper. So that's why maybe that save him to be in the side.
okay, Reginald. Thanks a lot for coming on the show and having your say. I really appreciate it, buddy. Have a great day. Yeah, and Paul, we're gonna chat about it a little later. We've got another caller waiting for us. We've got Nigel waiting for us in the back end as well. Welcome to the show, brother. What would you like to say? I think it's two of you.
Yeah, no. Look, I probably have more experience than you guys. I'm older than you.
Yeah.
But listen, the problem here is, it's always been our problem. If we don't pick the best players in our national team, every time they represent us at the international level, we're going to have this problem always. How many times has cricket done this? Drop players, leave them at home, take mediocre players there, then we don't even make the second round. I don't get hung up on names. I just say pick the best players to represent South Africa. We see what the Springboks does. When they take the field with the best 15 players. The guys that come on afterwards, they're the best in their positions. That's why we win World Cups in rugby. We can't do it in soccer, we can't do it in cricket, and that's our problem. That's all I have to say.
I mean, are you shocked that it?
No,
Are you shocked that they didn't?
Look, my son is now more. I was in cricket, but because of all the politics, I'm more into rugby. But I say with him. But this Yanaman Malan guy, I saw him bet, and he's got everything. Why leave this guy alone? You want to take your best players to the national, international stage. You tell me those players who they picked here, are they better than him? No, there are some of them that's not better than him. Why are they getting picked? Because we put politics sometimes ahead of this. We must. New Zealand, why are New Zealand one of the best teams? They pick the best players to represent New Zealand. That's our problem. Don't know if you guys agree with me.
Yeah, you see, with this particular squad now, I know a lot of people are going to probably blame the transformation and quotas. That's the reason why this with this regards to this squad. But I don't think they went into this with regards to quota selections, because as you can see by the numbers in the squad, there haven't been a lot of players of color that have been picked in the squad. So I don't think they went with quota selections with that.
No,
but there are a lot of.
I'm saying the best players, my friend, irrespective of color. You pick the best players, you ask them to represent your country.
Exactly.
They will.
Thank you a lot for coming on the show, Nigel. We have a couple of callers waiting, so thank you for coming on the show and having your say. Yeah, so Paul, do you have anything to say about that one, specifically about the politics in the side, etc.? Do you have anything with regards to that?
Look, as much as I look at, if you could put up that squad again, so we can just have a look at it, because if I pick an 11 from there, you might run yourself into a little bit of trouble from a transformation thing, because you will have QDK Timber, you'll have Aiden Rassi, David Miller, Dwayne Pretorius, and if not Dwayne Heinrich, you'll have then Bjorn Kesh, or Tabrez Kesh, and you have your three bowlers either being Kagiso, Heinrich, or Rongi. So it still doesn't meet any sort of targets from a transformation perspective. It kind of meets it barely. That wasn't the selection. And I don't think, for me, the question around Yanaman is around whether it's Aiden or Reza. And because Aiden has had a great T20 series for the Proteas this year, Aiden comes into the side. Reza, unfortunately, due to lack of opportunities, didn't get the opportunity to shine. So you put Aiden aside, you put Reza aside, and you bring Yanaman. The selection panel and the director of cricket picked Temba as a captain, so Temba can't go anywhere. He's not going anywhere. So to a certain extent, it isn't thing about transformation. It was just that Aiden and Yanaman and Riza were fighting for 2 spots, and they chose Aiden and Riza instead of Yanaman of Yanaman. And so for me, that's it's I think it's a little bit tough. I just my thing is that I feel as though they're looking at strike rates and not necessarily looking at strike rates and runs, not necessarily looking at boundary percentages and guys who are and guys who are guys who score boundaries, who play a different game to the rest of the squad. Because if you look at Aiden, if you look at Atemba, you look at Rassi, all pretty much similar players from a T20 perspective. They accumulate runs. Yes, Aiden can hit a little bit more boundaries, but his boundary percentage in T20s is at 14%, which doesn't help me much. Yes, in his first few T20s, it's at 20, so we're going to hope that he builds that going forward from a boundary percentage perspective. But for me, that's where the situation comes in. I just have a problem with because George gives you flexibility, but now he's not there. So
exactly.
like, what are you going to do?
It's crazy.
And like, look, there's not much more to talk about the side apart from the fact that George should be there in place of Vian Mulder, and Vian Mulder should be on standby as a reserve.
That's what I thought was going to.
As a reserve, I'm like, no, like I like Andile, but he needs to go back to
domestic
this, especially he needs to be playing in this CSA T20 challenge to try and get his form back.
I think so too.
And look, I like the only problem is who's captain for the next series. That's all I want.
They're probably gonna
captain for the next series.
I'm gonna wait and see what Aditya has to say. We're going to be doing a review for the T20 series a preview for the T20 series later on today. So please join us at 7:00 for that. We will be doing that. The open poll is available for that as well. We're going to be talking about the T20 series, what you would like to see. Now that the squad is announced, it makes that squad even like void basically, because that team, I thought it's going to be exactly the same squad that they picked over there. But let's get on the next caller. So long. How's it, bro? Welcome to the show. Just can you tell me how to pronounce your name, please, so I don't botch it?
Liajo.
Okay, Liajo. Have your say. What do you want to say about the squad, bro? How are you feeling currently?
Hey, Mpo. Hey, Khalid. How are you guys doing?
I'm good, thanks, man. Good to see you.
Oh, good. I just wanted to say that, do we know what direction we're going as a team? Like, in terms of, are we looking to win? Are we looking to rebuild? Because if we're looking to win, we haven't picked the guys that are doing their best right now. I'm talking about Faf, I'm talking about Tahir, I'm talking about Morris, that are going out there, playing well in T20 leagues and actually like doing the goods. If we're looking to rebuild, do we really have the guys that are there to be rebuilding? We're picking guys in their late 20s or the early 30s. So I just wanted to know, like, which direction do you see the team actually going in this regard? And are they like stats-based selections that we've actually had? Because as Mpo says, you know, some things that we're looking at aren't really the things that you should be looking at in modern T20, like boundary percentages. Is there a specific reason why Linda has been put out of the squad, even though he played a bunch of T20s all year? The reason why he didn't pick AB, or the reason why AB didn't want to come back, is because he wanted to take a spot from someone who's been in the system the entire time. Kish hasn't really been in the system. So that's just a few things I'd like to ask about.
I think you're asking exactly the right questions, because I mean, when I looked at the squad and I saw the squad announcement as well, George was one that really jumped out to me specifically, because UAE, we were talking about 3 spinners. If you're going to do 3 spinners, then you're going to have a spinner that can bat in the team, that can bat high up in the order, so you can get the balance right in the side. Vian Mulder was a very shocking one for me, because I don't think necessarily we're going to need him if you have Lungi, if you have KG, if you have Anrich, who are your primary seamers, with Dwayne Pretorius in the squad. Now, that's why I'm saying this T20 series against Sri Lanka is going to be so important, because this is going to determine how we're going to line up in our first game at the World Cup, I feel. Because Dwayne didn't see a game in the ODIs. Vian got picked above him. So if they're going to do the same thing now, then we're really going to start to worry. Because we all of us thought that Dwayne Pretorius is going to be that batting number 6 all-rounder in the side. Heinrich Klaassen, obviously backup wicketkeeper, I get that. But if he makes the starting 11, we are going to be a little bit worried. But my biggest concern, like I said before, is Faf du Plessis. And the only thing that I can think of is that they never gave him a contract because he's not contracted. He was going to miss out on the domestic competitions and not make any money over there. So that would cause crap, in my opinion, from regards to that. But thanks a lot for coming on the show, brother. I hope you call in the future once again. We've got another caller waiting for us before we bring Aditya on the show. We've got Wasim waiting for us in the background. Thanks a lot for tuning in, brother. What do you want to say?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, I've been watching you guys' shows for the last year or so, so keep up the good work. From my side, just basically want to say, disappointed that there's no George Linder, and it's just echoing what others have said already. But basically, George has played almost all the T20s in the last year, and he was one of the starters. All of a sudden, he goes from not even being in the best 3 spinners for a World Cup. So. Where's the process in that? Because it seems like they tried to squeeze Maharaj into the squad after good ODIs, which is fine, good to go with form, but then why not have George as the 3rd spinner in the squad and have Maharaj and Shamsi as the starting spinners, if that's what they wanted to do. So for me, that was shocking. And then Faf, we should have gone all out to get him there. He's a match winner. He could score. He scored last week in the CPL. He scored 100 in, I think it was 60 or 80 balls. That's match winning performances. We don't have too many of those. If we take Quinton de Kock out of the team, for example. So again, we should have made sure that we got Faf, regardless of what he demanded, because he's earned his stripes in over a long period of time. And then the last thing I was going to say was Yanaman Malan. He scored 3 ODI hundreds in 9 games, or I think it was something like that. And we can't even get a spot for him. And we choose guys like Riza, who I don't know how many hundreds he's got, but I think he's got 1 in numerous ODI and T20 matches. So where's the thinking with that? Because if we want to win the World Cup, you've got to go with guys that can score big and win big. And Yanaman is one of those. So for me, it was just, I can't see the thinking behind not selecting those 3 and going with safe options with Bjorn and Riza, who are good players, but they're not going to win you too many games at the World Cup. That's my view.
Well, top, man. Thanks a lot for coming on the show and having your say. We're going through discussing your comments, and please come on the show again when we have another call in. Thank you a lot for coming on the show, bro. Okay, so the long-awaited guest has arrived. Long-awaited co-host is arrived. Yo, I've been trying to hold the fort for you, Aditya, for the last hour. But thanks a lot for coming on the show, bro, and making your time available for us. Before I get into that, you know what I'm concerned about is it's almost like change the goalposts according to save your ass in a way. Like that's what I'm seeing currently. And what I mean by that is we use ODI form to select maybe someone like Keshav because there's no T20 form really to follow with him with regards to international cricket. Then you pick Keshav. I think Victor said something about leadership, Aditya, but you're going to have to tell us everything. I want to hear everything that I said in the press conference because I think you're going to uncrack all the answers about everything that happened with regards to the squad selection. So let me first get your views before I give my opinions because maybe I'd say something that is maybe a little bit premature and then I don't have all the information that you've given us. So what happened in the press conference? It must have been hectic if it was from 1:30 till now. So what went down in that press conference?
A lot, and you're right. It was crazy. It went on for an hour, and everything from the team to why Faf du Plessis was not in the team to SJN, virtually everything was covered. To sponsors at the end, talking about sponsors as well. So everything was covered. But you asked about Keshav, right? So specifically on that. Victor said that Keshav has been the number 1 test spinner and he's bowled very well in spinning conditions. And George has also done really well as an all-rounder, but Bjorn bowls up front, which is why Bjorn edged George Linden.
But so does George,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah,
So does Keshav. Like I'm sitting
So
there.
does Keshav.
Well, we know
He
what
was
he was
man of
saying
the
for
match.
T20.
he was man of the match in. George Linden was the man of the match in the second T20 between South Africa and Pakistan when he got Mohammad Rizwan out in the first over, second over perhaps. So yeah, I don't know where that argument stands. Yeah, but look, I think there's a lot to unpack here with what happened in this press conference, and I think most of the feedback that we've been getting on social media has largely been, what on earth is going on with this squad? So yeah, I guess we can continue.
There was a question that was asked Aditya to Graham. I think it was by T said so, about where Graham sees this team and the performances of this team. And I think Graham's answer was, previously we had COVID and everything else. We're only going to start now looking at results, or we use the West Indies series as our start of actually looking at results. How did you find that? Because I just couldn't stop laughing.
It was strange because the thing is, what's happened is that it almost appears as if the priority over the last season has been to play as much cricket. Doesn't matter what the results are. We can use COVID as excuses and things like that. But as soon as we get to the West Indies, then that's when we start focusing on results. And yeah, I laughed as much as you did, bro.
Just Aditya, what did they say exactly about Faf? What is exactly the reason why they said no? We're not going to play.
Okay.
We're not going to choose him.
Okay. So with Faf specifically, Graham Smith said that they struggled to find a balance between Faf's franchise commitments and what the team needs. And Chris Morrison said he made himself unavailable, so that's a separate issue. And Imran Tahir, he wasn't even considered, based on what Graham Smith said. So again, that's a separate issue. But with Faf, the main thing is that they couldn't find a middle ground between Faf's franchise commitments and what the South African team needed. So yeah, that's about it. But
Wow.
again,
Middle ground is a contract. Give him some sort of incentive. Because just think about it. If he was going to play West Indies and he was going to play Pakistan and he was going to play Sri Lanka, he misses out on a hell of a lot of money if he misses the CPL and he misses the 100 and he misses all of these tournaments. Yes, okay, he got injured and he got a concussion, by all means. But in theory, if that didn't happen, it's a lot of money you're asking him to give up if you're not going to give him a contract and say, look, we're committing for you for this next 3 months until the World Cup is done. Here's a contract, a short contract. You can give him a 5-month contract until the World Cup is done and say, you can go play your tournaments, but just make yourself available maybe for the last T20 maybe of the tournament. Okay, yes, with COVID and stuff, it's difficult to do that, of course. Or maybe just come and meet us at the World Cup. Does he need to play a series to prove himself?
Can I jump in here a little? I agree with you, but it speaks a lack of planning. Because if they were discussed, because the contracts came out last year, August, right, for this calendar year, for this cricketing year, right? So if, for instance, you know what yes, obviously you don't know where you're going to be playing, but you have an idea. You could have planned so that at least Faf played against England in that T20 series, right? And then he didn't need to play all the others, because it sounds to me like they wanted him to be a part of the squad in one of the tours. And yes, that was never going to happen with all the commitments. But I'm with you to be like, well, we don't necessarily need him to play against West Indies, Pakistan, because he's earned the right to just walk in off the plane in the UAE. You give him his shirt number and we move on.
They wanted to do it with AB. They would have done it with AB.
Yes, they would have, but and so that's my issue is that if the selection and that's another question that maybe we should have asked of the selectors was when did they actually start planning for this World Cup? Did they start planning for this World Cup Sri Lanka Pakistan series, or did they start planning for this World Cup the moment we started playing cricket out of COVID against England? Because if that was the moment, you put down your 15 guys that you want, and if Faf's there, you go and then try to figure out a way to get Faf in. And remember, with South African cricket, it's not just one standard contract. There are different types of contracts. There's a contract for those who just play limited overs cricket. There's a contract for those who play tests and limited overs. And there's a contract for those who play T20s. So you can give him here's some money to tie you around. It's a little bit of a retainer. You are available when you're not playing cricket for your franchises. You come through and play for us. So it speaks to a lack of planning, and that's why even on social media, everyone's like, "What's going on?" Because we were literally, for some of the players, we're going one way. We were talking about Keshav not even sniffing the World Cup, and all of a sudden, Keshav's in the World Cup squad, and the man who's been the number one spinner after Hamzi is now a reserve. So they haven't planned well, and we're going to see the fruits of that coming to the World Cup.
And Victor said Victor said on Supersport, sorry Aditya, Victor said on Supersport that it's all about consistency. That's why they didn't pick Faf. They wanted to keep consistency in selection. But where's the consistency when it comes to George Linder? Where's the consistency with that? Because they've been picking him consistently in the T20 format specifically. I mean, he only made his ODI debut now. So in white ball cricket. So they obviously had a vision for him with T20 cricket. That makes no sense to me with regards to that. But Aditya, I want to hear your thoughts, please. Now that you've listened to everything and went to the press conference and heard our thoughts, some of our thoughts, what is your summary on all of this?
You know what's really tricky, since we're talking about Faf and the free agents, right? Is that you want continuity. The team is moving in one direction, and all of these cliches are going around, right? Then I asked Temba that how long is it going to take for his injury to heal? And as of now, the estimate is a month. That's if everything goes well. But we know that injuries don't always go to plan. So maybe it could be more than a month. And if that's your situation, you've then got a guy at the World Cup who hasn't played competitive cricket in almost 2 months. He's going to be slotting in as captain. And his situation will be almost worse than guys like Faf, who've played continuous cricket from the CPL to an entire second leg of the IPL. Which again, as opposed that speaks to planning, because it seems like the standard set is a little bit different. You've got, because the thing is, ultimately, if they're going for continuity, then they also have to account for the fact that their main player, the best player of spin perhaps, is not going to be entirely match ready by the time the first game starts in the World Cup. And you'll have another good player of spin in Faf du Plessis, who will have a lot of game time under his belt, but simply cannot get selected because of whatever balance issues they were trying to find. So, the balance argument doesn't really stand.
Yeah, Paul this said he had to go quickly, so sorry guys that he just jumped off the stream, but he apologizes. He had to run off. Obviously, he has work to do and stuff like that. This is myself and Aditya. We were planning this the entire week that we were saying that we're going to be doing this show. So yeah, we're here with you guys. Look here, let's wrap it up. Aditya, I would like to get your final thoughts. I just want to make a quick announcement to everybody before we obviously give Aditya's final thoughts. Smash that like button. We had a record amount of numbers on today's show, so smash the like button. Subscribe to this channel. Please download the latest issue of the magazine, Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. You'll get so much insight into the T20 game and so much 100% free. Link is in the description. So let's go in and click on that. We'll also be doing a preview show of the T20 series tonight at 7. So please tune in for that as well. We will be doing that later on today. So stay tuned to Cricket Fanatics magazine for all those updates. Aditya, what are your final thoughts about this particular squad?
It's tricky. it's a weak squad, and I sincerely hope that they can put on a few respectable performances there. Because in addition to Faf du Plessis and George Linder, there's also Yaneman Milan who's missing, right? Oftentimes we've talked about him in the T20 setup, and we say, okay, even if he's not in the squad, maybe he can be in the reserves, but he's not. And that to me is perhaps a bit disappointing, because he's been in white ball cricket, he's been among South Africa's most consistent players. So that's certainly another disappointment there. But I think all in all, this is. I hope the squad does well. I really do. But at the moment, it seems difficult. And what's also concerning is that we look at how the team sort of got bowled out in that last game against Sri Lanka, on a spinning wicket. And here we're talking about a bunch of tired pitches in the UAE after 31 games of the IPL being played there. And, all teams adding the additional spinner. Like, can you imagine India has added Ravichandran Ashwin, who hasn't played T20 cricket for India for the last 5 years. He's back in the T20 team. So you can imagine how teams are thinking. So to then not have, perhaps your best T20 player and your best player spin in Faf du Plessis is concerning, and I think unnecessary. So I'm concerned. I am concerned for South Africa.
Me too. Well, at least all the speculation is over. At least we know now exactly who will be in the side. And we can now, when we do our previews and we talk about the squad and we talk about our 11s, we can go a lot more in depth and talk about it more in detail now and talk about cricket, on how South Africa can go about winning a game. Because there are still a lot of quality players in the squad. It's not like the entire squad is completely rubbish. There are a couple of guys, of course, yes, that we are saying maybe shouldn't be there or maybe should have been there. But there is still a lot of quality in this side that can win you games. So we can now obviously talk cricket. Now that it's all over, the squad is the squad. I don't want to see any more in the live chat saying, oh, but we should have picked this one, should have picked that. Well, unfortunately, this is what it is now currently, no matter how upset I am about this. So no matter how upset I am about this, we can now go ahead and talk about the side. Thanks a lot for everybody tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to tune into the preview show tonight at 7 o'clock. And I hope you guys enjoyed that show too. Don't forget to subscribe, click the notification bell, as well as subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Please, guys, if you guys are interested in cricket and you love cricket, go ahead and download this latest issue of the magazine and subscribe, because you'll get all the back issues straight to your mailbox every single month, 100% free. The link is in the description right now, so you can go ahead and do it straight away. And yeah, you can have everything directly to you. Thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody. And we'll see you again later today with a preview show. Take care, everybody. And thanks a lot, Aditya, for all the hard work you've done today. Cheers, everybody.